Okay, so today we're going to be talking about goal setting and visualization in trading. Now, the key discussion points for this topic will be expectations or setting expectations, goal setting, and visualization. Before we move forward, allow me to quickly go through each point para lang mas maganda yung foundation natin moving forward and mas klaro ang magiging dating sa inyo ng mga pag-uusapan natin. So when I say expectations, uh, hindi lang lahat chart-based. It's expectations that you have for the trade, for yourself, and so on. Okay, so huwag kayong magugulat kapag from expectations, hindi lang tayo mag-focus solely sa mga charts or sa trade itself. Okay? The next is goal setting. Same with expectations. We don't limit ourselves sa trading lang mismo. Although that will be our primary focus. Goal setting in this instance will also discuss about uh, yung mga pwede mong gawin at ang mga pwede mong uh, abutin when you're not trading. Okay, and then finally, visualization. Sa visualization, we will be talking a lot about paano mo mas maikita sa sarili mo or sa utak mo yung mga galaw na pwede mong i-expect at kung ano yung mga pwede mong gawin when things happen in a specific way or in certain ways. Okay? So with that said, let's move on. First, let's talk about setting expectations. One of the reasons we often find it so hard to trade effectively is because we carry impractical expectations with us into our trades. Okay? We expect that the market will behave in accordance with our thoughts or beliefs and often find it difficult to react if and when it does otherwise. So ano ibig ko sabihin? Pag pumapasok tayo sa trade, madalas ang expectation natin is tataas na yan. Well, no duh. Sino ba naman gustong pumasok sa trade tapos gusto niya, ay hindi, dapat bumaba yan, kailangan wala. Unless nag-short tayo pero wala pa rin shorting sa PSE. Ano? Pero sino nga ba naman ang gusto pumasok sa trade at agad-agad maramdaman na their position is going against them, na nai-squeeze sila. Siyempre, wala namang gusto nun, di ba? And yet, it's a fact that more often than not, it will happen to us. Because it's really hard to to buy something sa pinakababa na pwede natin siyang mabili, and it's really hard to sell something sa pinakataas na pwede natin siyang mabenta. Now, there are a lot of ways of how we set up our expectations, but we will be focusing on just three for this discussion in order to keep things brief. And I believe na itong tatlo rin yung pinakamadalas na nakikita ko or naririnig ko or naikwento sa akin na potentially pwedeng maging problema ng isang trader. Now, the first is the desire to be right. Now, parang yung example ko kanina, hindi lang enough na tama tayo. Kailangan gusto natin, we are perfectly right. Nasasalon natin at the exact sentimo kung nasaan dapat yung low at nabebenta natin kung yung exact sentimo kung nasaan yung high. But this also encompasses yung desire lang natin na dapat lahat ng trade na pinapasok natin panalo. 'Di ba? Now I know what you're thinking and you're probably telling me in your head na, bakit? Sino ba naman ang gustong matalo? True. Sino nga ba naman ang gustong matalo? But the fact of the matter remains na in this profession, in this type of, for lack of a better term, job, quote unquote, imposible na palagi kang tama. As much na imposible na palagi kang mali, even if you tried. Okay? So, when we enter into a trade, kailangan tama expectation natin. Na ang tanging expectation lang when we get into a trade is that price will do something. That's something hindi natin alam. We are playing the odds. That's how we trade. Kaya tayo naghahanap ng mga setups, kaya natin pinipilit hanapin ang holy grail na wala naman, is we are playing the odds and we are playing the risk. If the odds are in our favor dahil yung ganitong type of behavior nakita na natin before, that's all we could ask for. It doesn't necessarily mean na kapag pumasok tayo sa isang trade na nakita na natin before yung ganitong type of galaw ay magiging tama tayo. The market owes us nothing. Diba? So dapat expectations natin going in is, okay, pumasok ako. Now something's gonna happen. Whether that something is the price goes down, whether that something is the price goes up, whether that something is nothing happens, the point is, handa dapat tayo sa lahat ng senaryo na yon. Okay? Pag tumaas, saan ako magbebenta? Dapat lahat yun alam ko na eh. Pag bumaba, saan ako magkakat? Dapat alam ko na yun eh. Pero ang expectation natin should not be for price to go one way or the other. Our expectation should simply be that price will do something. Okay? Yung isa ko pang laging naririnig is lagi tayong may thirst for action. Expectation natin dapat, pagbukas ko ng charts araw-araw, pagbukas ko ng broker ko, dapat merong trade na naghihintay sa akin. Kung hindi ko nakita yung trade na yun, tanga kasi ako eh. Okay? Kailangan laging may ginagawa. Kailangan laging may tinitrade. Kakabenta ko pa lang nito, 5 minutes pa lang, oh, bakit wala pa ako next trade? Sayang yung opportunity. Pag may nakita tayong lumipad, oh, bakit wala ako doon? Sayang yung opportunity. Napaka-unrealistic na expectation eh, di ba? You want to be able to trade every single thing, but you're only a single person. You can't possibly see everything. Not to mention, you can't possibly be good at everything. There are specific market environments where what we do works better. Okay? Notice na hindi ko sinabi na it will always work, but it tends to work better. And then there are certain market environments where what we do tends to not really work as much. So kailangan nakatemper expectation natin. Hindi pwedeng minu-minuto, ora-orada, may tinatrade tayo. It's just super unrealistic. Okay? Huwag niyong papansinin yung mga nakikita nyo sa online, sa mga social media. That's just wrong. In fact, I would highly recommend na if you can, turn all of those off. There's a reason why sa mga videos ko, sa mga when I do discussions, when people ask me questions, I tend to not really show portfolios. Number one and main reason is I really don't want to. I feel like it's so crass. And number two, there's no point. I'm teaching you how to trade. I'm not teaching you how to trade like me because you can't. I have certain quirks and I have certain personality traits that are unique to me. And ikaw din, ganon. Diba? So again, let's work with our strengths. And our strengths tend to be certain setups or certain techniques. Yun ang hinahanap natin dapat. Kung wala, edi wala. Hindi po sayang ang pera kung hindi nyo siya tinitrade. Mas sayang ang pera kung trinade nyo siya and natalo. Dahil, kinailangan nyo lang na kahit papano may pindutin. And then finally, there's this expectation all the time. Again, this is very, very common. The need for speed. Gusto ng mga tao, as soon as they click buy, na para bang may utang na loob sa kanila ang market and kailangan pagkabili nila, target na kagad. Kasi yun yung nakikita nila online eh. Nakikita natin mga pinopost is yung mga yung recent na mga dito, ganyan na may nag 100%, 50%, 300%, 400%. Yun nakikita natin and so that's what we expect. Na feeling natin para maging magaling tayo na trader, kailangan ganun tayo. Kailangan yun yung ginagawa natin. Pero mali, di ba? It's not something that we should be expecting. Not to mention the fact na yung mga ganong klaseng occurrences don't happen every day. So is it really realistic for you to expect that every single trade you get into, kailangan pumutok, kailangan mag-ceiling, kailangan mag-bagger? Now, I know there are a lot more issues than this. A lot more misguided expectations. Pero itong tatlo, sila kasi yung madalas na naririnig ko. Na when people talk to me or they try to uh, ask about trading, ito yung mga madalas na naging gripes nila. Bakit mali yung trade? Kung hinold ko na lang yan, baka tumaas pa ulit. Diba? Kung bumili ka ng PLDT nung 3,000 tapos hinold mo hanggang ngayon, a few years later, hold mo pa rin. All just because you didn't want to be wrong? The money you could have used to trade other things, inipit mo doon simply because you didn't want to be wrong? May mali, di ba? So we need to make sure that our expectations are realistic and are correct. Hindi pwedeng palaging merong trade. Hindi pwedeng lahat ng bagay palaging mabilis. At higit sa lahat, hindi pwedeng palagi tayong tama. If it was that easy, everyone would be rich by now. There's no such thing as always being right in the market. Okay? Now, the other thing is goal setting. As I said from the onset, we are not just going to focus on charts, meaning goal setting should not simply be setting a target. Okay? So, smart goal setting should be something specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. Smart, ha? Ganda ng acronym. Nakopya ko rin lang to online, okay? Hindi ko to inaangkin, ha? Now, let's break that down in trading terms. Okay? First is specific. Plan everything out meticulously. Kapag pumapasok po tayo ng trade, kapag hindi natin alam saan tayo papasok, hindi natin alam saan tayo lalabas, whether lalabas tayo because na-hit na yung target or lalabas tayo dahil na-hit na yung stop loss natin, for the love of God, do yourself a favor and just walk away. Okay? Huwag ipilit. Lagi may iba pang opportunity na kasunod. Okay? You need to be able to plan everything out. Kung hindi nyo nakikita, kung hindi nagkukuwales sa mata nyo yung plano, huwag nyo na lang i-trade. Okay? And then when you plan it out, you need to set clear and concise goals. Meaning, when we're trading, kailangan, number one, syempre yung pinaka-obvious, kailangan meron tayong goal in the sense na target. Saan ko ba gusto magbenta? Kahit konti, para meron naman ako maibulsa. Saan ba ako magkakat? Saan ba ako mali? Yun yung sa part ng chart. Okay? Pero sa part natin, kailangan it should be a little bit more than that. Kailangan alam natin magkano ba ang willing ko itaya per trade. All in ba ako mag-trade palagi? Diba? Magkano dapat ang willing kong malose sa trade na to? That defines my risk. So if I'm risking 10,000 pesos on a trade, and sinabi ko na ang risk-reward ko is 2:1, and then I win, and I hit target, di ba? then I should be making 20,000 pesos because I was willing to risk 10,000 pesos. If I'm only willing to risk 500 pesos, and again, the risk reward is 2 is to 1, then I expect to win 1,000 pesos if ma-hit yung goal ko. So just setting a target and just setting a stop loss isn't enough. Kailangan very specific tayo. How much are we willing to bet? Diba? How much are we willing to let run? Kunwari, na-hit yung target pero feeling natin it's still gonna go higher. So kunyari, piso, ang target ko is 1.10, kunwari, and then ang stop ko is 0.95. So 2 is to 1. I have a clear stop, which is below 0.95. I have a clear target, 1.10. Then, I can also say na, okay, if it hits 1.10, ibebenta ko is kalahati lang muna. Then I'm gonna target 1.15. Then when I hit 1.15, I can sell a little bit more and so on hanggang comfortable ka, may kinita ka na kahit papano, pero meron ka pa rin nakataya sa trade para kung tumaas pa, kikita ka pa rin. At kung kinailangan mong mag-buyback, kailangan uulitin mo na naman yung plano. Saan ako pwede mag-buyback ulit kung gumana nga tong trade idea? Do I buy on a pullback? Do I buy on a breakout? Saan na yung bago kong stop? Saan na yung bago kong target? And so on. It's not just all about the chart. The chart is something that becomes instinctive as time goes on. It's how we manage our risk. It's how we set our goals that differentiate a good trader from a miserable trader. Okay? The next is, it should be measurable. Do not set random goals. Everything needs to be repeatable. So, ano ibig sabihin ng do not set random goals? Madalas ako makarinig na, kunyari, tinuruan daw sila na basta 5% na yung talo, cut na. Okay? I don't agree with this. Not because I think na walang merit yung idea. It's still better than just letting everything run na pababa. So magugulat ka na lang, down ka na lang 70% or whatever, di ba? It's still better. But para sa akin, we worked hard. We planned everything out. Di ba? We use technical analysis or whatever we want to create a target and everything. Di ba? Bakit hindi natin binibigyan ng parehong amount of pansin ang pagsiset ng stop? Ang stop dapat nakaset din, if you use technical analysis, in a spot where the technical analysis will tell you na mali ka na. Not some random 5% or 10% or whatever that you want to come up with in your head. Because you could be stopping out right into support. You could be stopping out right into a very strong range. And yet, here you are, cutting your position, letting other people gobble it up, and then kapag tumaas sila yung kikita, all because it hit an arbitrary number of 5 or 10 or 7%, whatever you want to use. So, don't just set goals randomly. Okay? Same with target. Basta nag 10% up na, magbebenta na ako. Why? You need to have a target. You need to have something to aim for. And the reason why we use technical analysis is to help us with that. Is to help us find kung ano man yung target na yon. It's kasi, di ba, hinahanap nga natin kailangan risk reward, maganda, and all that. Okay, paano natin malalaman ano yung risk reward natin kung hindi natin alam paano tayo magsiset ng target? Stupid, di ba? May mga groups na nasalihan ko before na would say na, 10% up na, magbebenta na ako ng konti. Or yung iba naman, magsiset sila ng target na napakalayo. Yung tipong may 10 resistance levels between where price is and where the target is, and they expect na kailangan aabot ka agad dun. And I'm not saying the target will not reach there. I'm not saying price won't. I'm just saying na it's not something that's very practical. It feels very random to me. If we are going to use technical analysis, then we should also use technical analysis to define and measure those goals. And the way we measure it is everything needs to be repeatable. If I'm selling on the next level of resistance or the next two levels of resistances, then I need to be able to understand that, and then I need to be able to repeat it. Repeat, paulit-ulit lang. Hindi pwedeng etong trade, ganito yung target ko. Next trade, iba na. Dahil may nakita lang ako na, baka pwedeng ganito, baka pwedeng ganyan. Or sabi kasi ni tao ganito, ganyan. Or sabi ni guru ganito, ganyan eh. That doesn't help. Okay? Next. A. Achievable. Tiered goals. And then you should know your strengths and weaknesses. Medyo na-hit ko na to kanina sa setting expectations. But let's talk about it more now. Number one, tiered goals. I always recommend this, lalo na kapag you're just starting out. Kasi you want to be able to pocket at least a little bit para lang meron kang positive reinforcement for doing the right thing. Okay? What do I mean? A trade comes up, it sets up, you go in, after 2 or 3 days, it hits the next resistance level, or kung gumagamit ka ng indicator or gumagamit ka ng moving averages or what have you, tumama na sa next. And for you, in your mind, in your system, in your rules, that's the next level of resistance. So, kung ganon, take a little bit off, tier your goals. Your initial investment, your initial position doesn't have to all hit your final target. Diba? I'm not saying take something off after every tick pataas. That's just stupid. I'm saying na once it hits a realistic target, take something off. Then if you want to let it run, you may do so, knowing na kahit papano kumita ka na. If you want to add to your trade, it's still fine because you still have your core position. But in order for you to be able to do this effectively, you need to know your strengths and your weaknesses. Why? The way I trade is very unlike what most people teach. Dito, or actually di lang dito eh. I've watched a lot of courses on YouTube and I've talked to a lot of traders from all over the world. Maraming tao, ang focus lang lagi sa entry. Basta kailangan maganda entry, kikita ako. Tapos mag-up ng 1%, 2%, bebenta na kaagad. Tapos sasabihin, hindi, panalo ko, tinan mo, 3%, 2%, mga ganun. And that's fine. Kung yun yung strength nila, if they're very good at scalping, good for them. But me, I know my strength. I know how I trade. I know the type of market conditions I like to see para masabi ko na, I can push this more. Or I can enter into a bigger position. I know that. And you need to know yours as well. Okay? Kung gumagamit ka ng Ichimoku, for example, and nagkaroon tayo ng mga Kumo breakout or whatever, TK cross, basta yung mga ganon, di ba? Then, fine. Use that. Know which setup works best for you and focus on those setups. But you need to also know your weaknesses. Ako, my weakness is simple. I don't know how to chase price. Hindi ako magaling sa ganun. Diba? And I'm not ashamed to say it. It's just my weakness. Hindi ako magaling yung mga sinasabi ng tao. Nararamdaman ko, tataas pa to eh. Hindi ako ganun eh. And good for them that they're able to trade yung mga ganun situations. Kasi may easy money sa ganun eh. It's just something that I'm not very good at. It's something I occasionally try. I make small bets. But it's not something that I'm gonna force. It's not something na masasabi ko na, okay, pag ito ginawa ko, kailangan ganito, ganyan, ganyan, ganyan. Parang hindi ko memorize yung proseso. Nagagawa ko lang siya kapag yung mga tipong feeling ko sobrang lakas talaga and parang may feeling of FOMO. So sige, lagay tayo ng konti, try. Tapos kakat ko din agad kung mali. Pero minsan, pag gano'n, na-feel ko rin, ang sayang ng pera eh. Kahit maliit pa yung amount na trinade, tapos natalo, sayang pa rin eh. And why? Just because gusto ko lang? Feel ko lang mag-trade, di ba? It's so stupid of me. Next is we need to have realistic goals. And our realistic goals need to be in conjunction with overall market sentiment. As of this moment, 2020, October 13, the PSE is not exactly bullish. Okay, anyone who says otherwise can read it a lot better than me. Maybe it will lead to something bullish down the line, but as of right now, as of this moment, no one can really say na bullish yung PSE. And with that in mind, is it realistic for us to expect na kunwari pumasok tayo sa isang trade ng isang index name na kailangan mag-up siya 30, 40, 50%? Of course not. Di ba? So our goals need to be realistic. Same sa sinabi ko kanina, kung may 10 resistance levels or 20 resistance levels between where you are and your eventual target, then you might be overshooting yung potential target na gusto mong abutin. Kasi hindi na nga siya bagay sa overall market sentiment, tapos ganun pa tayo to target. Medyo tagilid, di ba? And then finally, timely. You need to select a time frame suited for your personal needs and lifestyle. I personally trade using the weekly, the daily, and the hourly charts. Sorry, with an S. Maraming ha naman yun. Okay? My trigger time frame, meaning the time frame that I use to look for signals in, more often than not, is the daily time frame. And then I use the hourly time frame to refine my entry as needed and to look for early signs of confirmation. And then I use the weekly chart to see kung sa higher time frame meron ba akong bias that would allow me to aim for higher targets. Okay? Lahat tayo, iba-iba. Bakit ganun yung ginagawa ko? Kasi typically, nakakatingin lang ako sa chart pag sarado na yung market. I do everything na naka-GTC. GTC buy. Once I buy something, then GTC sell. Very simplistic akong tao eh. Ayoko yung nanonood ako tapos papanoorin ko, pangat na, benta. Ayoko nang ganun. Lahat nakaset ako beforehand. Kung na-hit, if hindi, then assess ako pagka-close na yung market. Then kung kailangan ko ibenta na maaga bukas, ibibenta ko na maaga bukas. Even if it means losing on a few ticks worth of profits. Ganun eh. I live with that because I know yun yung bagay sa lifestyle ko. Yun yung bagay sa personality ko. Kung gusto mo ng maatikabong aksyon, tapos tumitingin ka sa monthly chart, may mali kang ginagawa. Okay? Kung naghahanap ka ng maatikabong aksyon, dapat nasa lower time frames ka. Now, kung nasa lower time frames ka, let's say nasa 1 minute or 5 minutes or even 15 minutes, is it really realistic to expect targets from the monthly chart to be the targets that you try to hit when you're trading from the 5-minute chart? Hindi, di ba? Because yung monthly, ang dami nangyayari dyan eh. That's 20-something trading days, more or less. Ang 5 minutes, ang dami nun sa isang trading day eh. Di ba? So, kailangan alam mo anong time frame yung nababagay sa'yo at yun yung aaralin mo para hindi ka nangangarag, hindi ka nai-stress sa pagtatrade. Kung aksyon ang hanap mo, then you really shouldn't be looking too much at the higher time frames. What does it matter kung ano sabi ng monthly chart kung 5-minute chart ang tinetrade mo? Di ba? Be realistic. Now, next we will be discussing visualization. Visualization is a kind of mental rehearsal. Okay? Now, I do this for all of my trades. Okay? In visualization, ito yung mga importante sa akin. Number 1 is know what you want to see. Ito yung mga setup and everything na we spend an inordinate amount of time trying to learn. Okay? kailangan gamay na gamay mo yung setups na ginagamit mo. Obviously, kasi kung hindi, baka nangyari na, hindi pa nag-register sa utak mo na nangyari na. Okay? Next, know where you want to see it. Okay? Kapag ang inverted head and shoulders nangyayari after a long uptrend, how strong do I really expect that inverted head and shoulders to be? Kung nandun na nga siya sa taas ng uptrend. Ang inverted head and shoulders, ang supposed use niya is to identify a possible trend reversal. What exactly am I reversing if the trend is already up? Simplehan natin. Diba? Again, know where you want to see it. Let's say, marami tumitingin dito yung mga candlestick patterns na one candlestick pattern lang. It's easy to remember. Kaya mga hammer. Nag-hammer. So what is a hammer? Ang hammer usually is a rejection of a certain price level. Diba? Price tried to go lower, buyer stepped in, and na-reject yung price na gustong puntahan. And then it closed higher. So may mahabang wick, tapos may maliit na ulo. Yun yung hammer. Diba? If you see a hammer again, on top of an uptrend, especially on top of a parabolic move, do you really expect na it's gonna push higher because of that hammer? Hindi, di ba? Kasi ang hinahabol nga natin is magkaroon tayo ng rejection of a key level na tinitingnan natin as a possible reversal. Yun yung point ng hammer. And yet here we are, porket nakita tayo na hammer in the middle of a range, on the high end of an uptrend, uy, hammer, tira. So you need to know where you want to see, what you want to see, and you need to know when you want to see it. Okay? Lahat yan importante sa visualization. And yan yung, kumbaga, first 3 steps ko lagi when I'm trying to visualize a trade in my head. Know what I want to see, know where I want to see it, and know when you want to see it. Okay? Now, here's a good example of trade visualization. So, this happened just a few days ago. Okay, so ginamit ko example dito is C. I'm not gonna tell you how I traded C, irrelevant, but I am gonna discuss what I did nung naging ganito na yung itsura. Okay? So, suffice it to say na even before this, may hawak na ako. So, what happened? Okay, what happened dito sa C? So, gawa tayo ng ito, pen option. Okay, so price went up, then nag-reject. Okay? Ang daming not-shake off dito. Ang daming natakot. Bakit? Kasi ang tindi ng baksak eh. Marami ako nababasa. Frank candle, whatever. Okay? And that's fine. Pero ako, ang nakikita ko when that happened was, if I look to the left, merong isang zone dito, okay, wherein maraming naipit before. So dito, dati, may gap, okay? So, paano ba alisin yun? Hindi ko na pala maalis. So dati may gap dito sa areang to, okay? Price went up. So when it came back down, ano ba yung laging tinuturo sa atin? Diba? Buy sa mga gap fill, magbabounce. So what happened? Dito, yung mga area na tinatry hulihin ng mga traders na pwedeng mag-bounce yung price. Anong nangyari? Dinerecho lang sila. Diba? So yung mga nandito, ipit. Correct? And then what happened? Price tried to push higher again. And yung mga dito, nabubuhayan ng loob. Tapos, may mga tao rin na bumibili right here, anticipating a breakout. Diba? Kasi inisip natin, sige, nag-overextend lang siya, na-fill na yung gap, ganyan. Tapos, nag-range dito, then it pushed higher, and so on. Diba? So, in-expect natin was, people were gonna step in and Yung mga ibang tao na mas aggressive, they're gonna anticipate my breakout, bibili na sila. Yung iba pa, pataas pa lang, bumibili na, and so on. Ano nangyari? Gumanito. So, maraming naipit. Now, I know for a fact na a lot of traders ayaw mag-cut. You know that for a fact na a lot of traders ayaw mag-cut. Correct? So, when price got here and overshot a little bit, ano sa tingin nyo ginawa nung lahat nung naipit dito? Lumabas. Di ba? Nakalaya na sila eh. Tuwan-tuwa na yung mga yan. Di ba? Wee! Di ba? Benta, benta, benta. So, of course, we were gonna find some type of rejection here. So, when this happened, wala pa ako sa panic mode. Was I selling? Yes. Bakit? Kasi alam ko may resistance dito. Ang tanga ko naman kung di ako magbenta, di ba? Nang kahit papano. Okay? Now, when this happened, hinintay natin next candle. And this was the next candle. So, anong gagawin natin pag ganyan? Okay? Dito pumapasok yung visualization. So, alam ko na from here, it was natural to find some type of reaction. So, hindi nakakagulat when the candle did this. Ito pala yung previous gap, na-drawing ka na. Okay? So, what will price do? Price can only move in one of three ways. First is, it might just go sideways like this. Okay? Sideways like this. If you're aggressive, you can start accumulating within this range. Stop loss below the range. Simple. If it breaks out, dagdag. Okay? That's one scenario. That's the easiest scenario because yan yung pinaka-usual na nangyayari after price breaks out. Usually, may konting consolidation prior to another breakout or breakdown. Next was, it was possible for price to just push higher, okay, which would help me aim for these three targets. Okay, with this being possibly an ultimate target for me. This is just for me, You don't have to trade like me, but that's how I would target it. Merong obvious na resistance level dito, dito, dyan, di ba? Alam ko. So, if price breaks out, what was I gonna do? I would now use this rectangle, okay, as my reference point. Pwede ako mag-buy on breakout, and then my cut would be if price closes below this rectangle. Kasi yan yung ginamit ko ng reference point. Alam ko na nakita ko na. Diba? So in this case, what did happen was when it broke out, I added confidently knowing na alam ko saan ako magkakat, saan yung stop ko, nakaset na ako sa lahat ng targets ko, and so on. Okay? And then the next one is price could go down. And if price goes down or went down, like so, okay, ano yung pwede natin hanapin? Saan pwede mag-bounce yung price? Which is dito sa zone na to. Which is again, okay, where people might step in kasi dito may mga nag-iipon eh. Kaya nga tumaas, nag-hold muna, bumaba konti, bumalik, nag-ipon muna, may mga nag-iipon bago nila tinulak. Diba? So it's possible na if price heads down here, na pwedeng i-defend ulit tong area na to. So if I was gonna buy or add into a position, then this is probably the area I'd be looking to add. So that's why dinoin ko na pag-ganyan yung price. Now, if it came here, then I could possibly start for looking for opportunities to see kung magbabounce ba yung price. Kahit bumalik lang siya to these levels or those levels, doon ako mag-ibenta. Okay? So, paano tayo gagaling sa pag-visualize? Well, number one, it requires a lot of backtesting. Natural, para malaman natin kung ano yung mga pwede nating i-expect, kailangan naiintindihan natin ano nga ba yung mga pwede nating i-expect. And to do so requires a lot of backtesting, a lot of practice. Diba? Kasi kailangan natin makita yung mga nangyari before para ma-apply natin sa mga nangyayari moving forward. Okay, backtesting obviously kasama na dun ng practice. So, if you use TradingView, not Instagram, the actual TradingView, they have a bar replay function that can take you back, kunyari, to 2009, ganon. Then you can do it candle by candle para ma-practice mo yung sarili mo to kung ano ba expectations mo pag nakita ka ng ganito, nakita ka ng ganyan, you can note it all down. Okay? The other thing, very important, is journaling. journaling, personal diary mo yan eh. Wala namang ibang makakita niyan unless i-share mo sa iba, di ba? When you journal, it's important to keep track of everything. Kasi it's only through that, yung constant review ng gina-journal mo, that you can actually assess kung ano yung mga tama or mali mong ginagawa. Kasi minsan kapag lahat eye test lang, meaning lahat tingin lang tapos aalalahanin lang natin, kakalimutan na natin ulit, hindi maganda yung memory recall eh. Pero pag gina-journal natin, tapos meron tayong statistical proof in front of us na nagpapakita sa atin na okay, this works, this doesn't work, and so on. Then we know what we need to improve on, what we need to change, and so on. Okay? Ang journaling, hindi lang siya parang win-loss column para sa'yo. Yun yung pinaka-least important function ng journal para sa akin. Ang important sa journal para sa akin is going through the charts, what I saw before, so I can compare myself to who I was and to who I am and to who I will be. Mas mabilis ko na bang na-identify kung saan ako mali? Mas nakakapag-stop na ba ako ng mas maaga bago ako makapag-take ng isang full full position worth na loss? So, kunya 10,000 tiniya ako, 10,000 yung loss. Baka ngayon, mas mabilis na makapag-spot na kung saan ako mali. Baka 8,000 na lang yung nawawala sa akin, bisa 10,000, and so on. But I can only see that and only be sure of that if I do journaling. Okay? No journaling means you're referring to memory, and memory, especially human memory, sucks. We tend to remember all the wrong things and we tend to forget all the important ones. The next is it's important that you have a handbook or a trading plan. A handbook or a trading plan is parang, isipin nyo na lang na parang thesis nyo. Nandun lahat ng ginagamit nyong setups, may mga examples, detailed breakdown, kung how it works, when it works, and so on. Nakasulat lahat doon. Doon kayo nag-update kung may natutunan kayong bago, doon kayo nagpapalit, and so on and so forth. Doon din nakalagay kung tawag ito, magkano ba tinitrade nyo. Parang isipin nyo na parang running autobiography siya, so to speak, ng negosyo nyo. Kasi that's what trading is. Trading is a business. So, ito yung, hindi ko alam yung term ng biography para sa negosyo. Yun na lang, basta biography ng negosyo nyo. Nakikita nyo dito kung nasusunod nyo ba yung mga rules nyo. Di ba kapag nag-work tayo sa company, may company handbook, may company rules na kailangan nating sundan na maaaring iba for company A sa company B and so on and so forth. Kayo rin ganon. Since trading is a business, then you need to have a place where all of your rules are written down. You need to be able to reward yourself when you stick to your rules, and you need to be able to punish yourself when you diverge from them. Sa handbook din nakasulat yung ibang goals natin. Kasi ang goal natin, as I said from the very beginning, is just about trading. Nag-grow ba ako as a person? Nag-grow ba ako as a trader? Diba? Kung sino ako today, ganun pa rin ba ako bukas? Ganun pa rin ba ako 1 year from now? How am I different from where I was before? Diba? The journaling and the handbook will help. You will see as time goes on that you probably had a lot of stupid rules before, and that you probably missed a lot of important rules before. And that's ever evolving, ever changing the more you trade, the more you immerse yourself in this business. And then in order to visualize properly, you need to be able to do proper mapping. Mapping in the sense na, let's say gumagamit tayo ng, again, Ichimoku, or gumagamit tayo ng Bollinger Bands, or gumagamit tayo ng moving averages. We need to be able to understand what these averages or what these lines mean to us, and what we need to be able to do if and when price reacts at a certain level. Okay? So let's say that price broke out. then pulled back to MA, I don't know, some random na MA 67. Okay? What am I going to do? Is it important? Should I be doing something here? What do my rules tell me? What does my journaling tell me? What does my backtesting tell me? You need to be able to map out the chart properly. That way, you can define your goals in such a way na it would make sense to you. It doesn't have to make sense to me. It doesn't have to make sense to Maria or to Juan. It all just needs to make sense to you. And in the same way, you need to be able to map out your trading business. Diba? Lahat yan kasama. Kumukuha ka ba ng sweldo sa trading business mo? Kung hindi, at yan lang yung trabaho mo, may mali, di ba? Kasi kinukuha mo yung funds ng company to fund yourself. Dapat sahod. Negosyo yan eh. Kailangan yung pera sa negosyo para lumaki yung negosyo. Hindi lalaki yung negosyo kung kinukuha mo yung pera. Di ba? Lahat yan, part din ng mapping. You need to be able to visualize everything. Everything. Para kahit na anong mangyari, almost, okay? There's always caveats. Halos kahit anong mangyari, hindi ka nagugulat at alam mo ang gagawin mo. Hindi ka mag-freeze. Okay? Maraming nagtuturo na akala nila, porket sinabi nila, hindi, ganito yung setup. Okay na yan, hindi ka na mag-freeze. Kulang yun. Hindi ka lang mag-freeze kung alam mo at na-visualize mo na ano ang gagawin mo sa bawat iteration or situation na pwedeng mangyari based on your knowledge. Of course, the chart is not gonna move exactly textbook based on naiisip mo. Of course not. But you have a general idea na if price is here and it did this or that before coming here, then I should probably be doing or looking at doing X or Y. Okay? So, I hope nakatulong to ng konti in your journey to become better traders. Just remember, set realistic expectations. Okay? Huwag natin pilitin. Your expectations will evolve the more you evolve. The better you become, the better you are at projecting expectations. Okay? Make sure to set smart goals. Yung pinag-usapan natin kanina, SMART. And finally, visualize everything. Not just in the trade itself, but everything that involves the aspect of trading. Visualize your trading business. Visualize your life. Visualize the trade. Visualize everything. Okay? And I promise you, if you do this, it will only help you improve as a trader. So that's it. Again, I hope may natutunan kayo. And I'm signing off.